Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. The fallout from the Cathay Pacific Discrimination Controversy tarnishes Hong Kong's image, says John Lee. Students and workers, including domestic helpers, have to declare whether they have a criminal conviction when applying for a Hong Kong visa. And the MTR again rejects calls to spin off its lucrative property unit. Chief Executive John Lee said Hong Kong's reputation has been damaged after 3 flight attendants discriminated against non-English speakers. The crew members were sacked, but the head of Cathay Pacific said the incident has hurt the airline's standing on the mainland. Janice Low reports.
Cathay Pacific Chief Executive Ronald Lam apologized for the second time in 2 days after sacking 3 flight attendants who discriminated against non-English speaking passengers during a flight from Chengdu to Hong Kong last Sunday. Lam admitted that the incident, which went viral, affected the carrier's reputation on the mainland.
我會親自帶領一個跨部門嘅工作小組。
He pledged to conduct a comprehensive review on Cathay's services and manpower training. Speaking at a forum in Guangzhou this morning, Hong Kong's top leader said he was saddened by the incident.
我感到痛愤和希望。
Chief Executive John Lee warned against a repeat. He said he told Lam that the case has damaged the SAR's reputation and affected relations between locals and mainlanders. Tourism Minister Cathay Yeung urged every Hong Konger and service provider to welcome and respect travelers.
令到我哋嘅旅客嚟到香港咧，係有一個好好嘅旅遊體驗。咁呢方面
I wish everyone can work hard to provide a pleasant experience for visitors, Yeung said.
呢方面嘅工作係不斷有推進緊嘅。
Justice Secretary Paul Lam said the government has been working to ban all forms of discrimination. During the incident, flight attendants were heard mocking a passenger who asked for a blanket but said carpet instead. That recording was captured by another passenger who disclosed the content on social media and complained to Cathay. Ricky Chu, chairman of the Equal Opportunities Commission, said if service providers insist on a customer using correct words before fulfilling a request, that amounts to indirect discrimination. Janice Low, HKIBC.
People coming to Hong Kong to study or work will have to declare whether they have a criminal conviction. The new rule takes effect on June 19th and also applies to foreign domestic helpers, imported workers, and dependents. People extending their stays or renewing their visas will not be affected. A similar requirement was introduced for the Top Talent Pass scheme in February. That followed a controversy in which mainland scientist He Jinping was granted a visa, which was later revoked on suspicion that he made a false statement. The scientist has served a jail term on the mainland for illegal gene editing. Public housing tenants face stricter asset checks under a government clampdown on tenancy breaches. Currently, they are only required to declare their assets 10 years after moving into a flat. That has been reduced to 2 years. Those who exceed the asset limit will have 4 months to vacate their unit, compared to 12 months previously. The changes were approved by a Housing Authority committee today. Committee Chairwoman Clarissa Wong said the new rules could take effect in October, adding it was hard to gauge how many households will be affected. For the second year running, the MTR has brushed aside calls to spin off its property arm, which provides the bulk of its profit. The firm is also hopeful that railway operations will improve as Hong Kong steps out of the shadows of COVID. While MTR trains are already jam-packed during the rush hour, the situation may get worse. It turns out patronage is around 90% of what it used to be before the pandemic. By comparison, cross-border routes aren't doing as well, receiving just 70% of passengers from pre-COVID times. But MTR Chairman Raymond Yeung is fully confident patronage will pick up as economic activity resumes. Despite a massive $14 billion deficit in rail operations over the past 3 years, the firm was able to remain in the black thanks to its property development. But even that reliable source of revenue looked shaky, with all three bidders for an upmarket residential site atop the Silhowan depot failed to meet its asking price in a tender. Chief Executive Jacob Kam admitted the sluggish market had dampened developers' interest, while Yeung reviewed clauses in the tender will be fine-tuned before it is rolled out again. At the annual general meeting, a shareholder asked whether the board would consider spinning off its property arm in a secondary listing. Finance Director Herbert Hui said the MTR has remained financially stable due to its diversified portfolio. He stressed the company reviews its businesses from time to time. A firefighter has been admitted to hospital for heat exhaustion after battling a blaze which raged for nearly 8 hours in Sanpo Kong. Large plumes of smoke continued to billow from a garage on Simei Street hours after firefighters arrived. The fire was upgraded to third alarm around midnight, 4 hours after it started. It was eventually extinguished at 3:45 a.m. Kowloon East Divisional Officer Chen Kwok-ming said the garage was filled with around 50 motorcycles and spare parts, making it difficult to enter. President Xi Jinping says China and Russia should expand cooperation in key areas, including the economy, trade, and investment. He was speaking after Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin was given an official welcome on his arrival in Beijing by his Chinese counterpart, Li Qiang. The two men and their aides discussed bilateral issues and the state of the world economy and politics. Deals on cooperation in trade services, agricultural exports, and sports were signed. Mishustin is the highest-ranking Russian official to visit Beijing since Moscow invaded Ukraine last year. The United States has welcomed the arrival of China's new ambassador, who takes up a post that has been vacant for nearly 5 months as bilateral relations continued to sour.
I have come here to safeguard China's interests. This is my sacred responsibility. I am also the envoy of the Chinese people. So I've come here to enhance China-US exchanges and cooperation. And this is my important mission.
Xi said Sino-US relations face serious difficulties and challenges. But the former vice foreign minister, who had 2 previous postings in Washington, is expected to use his diplomatic experience to smoothen ties. Xi's appointment comes as Washington steps up efforts to counter China's growing economic and military clout. The United States insists that it played no role in an attack on a Russian region bordering Ukraine. Moscow says dozens of attackers were killed and military vehicles made in the West were destroyed. Sachin Cafe reports.
Russia says its jets and artillery killed more than 70 attackers who raided the Belgorod region neighboring Ukraine. Those who survived fled back to Ukraine, according to Moscow. Kiev has denied involvement, saying the attackers were Russian paramilitary groups opposed to the Kremlin. To bolster its case that Ukraine had a hand in the raid, Moscow released photos of abandoned Western-made military vehicles. The United States distanced itself from the attack and said weapons supplied to Ukraine cannot be used against Russia.
We can confirm that the U.S. government has not approved any third-party transfers of equipment to paramilitary organizations outside the Ukrainian armed forces, nor has the Ukrainian government requested any such transfer. So,
with the border situation remaining tense, Moscow has evacuated people from villages close to Ukraine. Sachin Kadpi, HKIBC.
The U.S. town of Uvalde in Texas is still grieving 1 year to the day when a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers. One victim, Tess Mata, was only 10 when she was gunned down.
If I'm not running late, I'll usually come and I'll pick up a coffee, and then I'll take a drive to Tess's mural, just to wish her good morning and give her a little peace sign, and then I start my day at work. It just makes me feel at peace when I drive by and I see it. And then just her giving her little peace sign, it's just the icing on the cake. You know, it feels so good to see it.
A year after the massacre at the Robb Elementary School, a criminal investigation is continuing into why it took hours for heavily armed police to confront the teenage gunman. There were more than 400 officers at the scene, but by the time they moved into a classroom where the victims were, it was too late.
We have to learn how to relive our lives, because our lives are not the same and our lives will never be the same. So there's always that piece missing. There's really nothing that can ever stop what I'm feeling unless they can bring her back, and they can't do that. All right, baby, we'll see you later. Love you.
The Hang Seng Index ended at a 2-month low as a stalemate in U.S. debt ceiling negotiations worried investors. The Hang Seng Index fell 1.6% on fears that Washington could default in its debts by the end of next week. Struggling mainland property developer Longfor Group slumped 7.9% as the yuan slid to a 6-month low against the US dollar. PC maker Lenovo fell 7.6% after its fourth quarter revenue shrank by a quarter. Container line Orient Overseas International Limited hit rough waters to close 5% lower. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down by 315 points. The top 10 active stocks. The tracker fund lost 29 cents. Tencent was down $3.20, while Alibaba was down $1.95. Ping An Insurance was down by $1.45, while China Construction Bank was down 14 cents. The forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.44, the pound sterling 9.71, and the Australian dollar at 5.15. Finally, in Europe, the London FTSE is currently down 127 points. Inflation in Britain has fallen below 10% for the first time in 9 months. The rate of inflation at 8.7% last month was down sharply from 10.1% in March. Lower fuel prices contributed to the drop in the Consumer Price Index, but food prices remained at their highest in 40 years. Despite inflation easing, the Bank of England is expected to raise interest rates again when it meets next month. On to the weather now. It will be sunny with a few showers tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 25 and 31 degrees. Expect similar weather conditions for the rest of the week. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Good night.